Hello, everyone, and welcome to GirlCon Digital 2023. My name is Kyla Guru, pronouns she, her, and I am one of the co-founders of GirlCon. It is an honor and a privilege to host you for our 6th annual event and welcome you into our ever-growing community. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Kyla. Hi, everyone. My name is Mia Rubenstein, pronouns she, her, and I'm one of the co-directors of GirlCon 2023. I will be an incoming freshman at Washington University in St. Louis and studying business this fall. Back in 2018, GirlCon began as a student-run annual tech conference built to empower students identifying as women or non-binary to network, lead, and empower in technology. Now, we continue to grow not only as a conference, but also as a movement. We host this conference annually to provide a safe space for students to raise their hand, take the mic, own their voice as a force of nature, and now go beyond these boundaries as we aim for the stars.
Absolutely, Mia. I'm so excited to be here and support that mission. Hello, everybody. My name is Sania Mahajan, and I'm the other co-director this year along with Mia. I'm an incoming freshman at Cornell University, where I will be studying computer science this fall with a minor in business. Throughout the past 6 years, we have brought together over 1,750 passionate attendees and dedicated team members to make a difference in the next generation of female leaders in tech. Our first conference in 2018 was held at Northwestern University, where we welcomed over 200 attendees. Our second conference in 2019 had over 250 attendees. In 2020, we went virtual, redesigning our conference to no longer just be Chicago-based, but international. We were delighted to unite over 700 attendees. In 2021, we had 900 plus attendees from over 25 countries around the world. However, in 2022, we were able to utilize a hybrid model that incorporates both online and in-person aspects. What makes GirlCon so special is truly the people. Our community is better with you present and sharing your voice with us.
Hello everyone, my name is Riddhi, pronouns she, her, and I am a senior vice president on the GirlCon team this year, and I'll be a freshman at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the fall. We want to take a second to recognize the amazing groups and individuals who have made GirlCon possible. GirlCon would not be what it is today without the incredible sponsors and companies who have supported our growth. This year, we've been able to raise over $25,000 to make GirlCon 2023 possible. Moreover, we would not be here today without the GirlCon core team. The core team has worked tirelessly over the past year to ideate, plan, and smoothly execute each part of the conference. We turned a dream into a reality with GirlCon 2023. We are so excited to move through this weekend and see our palpable fingerprints through each moment of inspiration. To the entire team, thank you for carrying this mission onwards and upwards. You inspire us to dream bigger every year.
The impact we have made has been truly amazing. Hello everyone, my name is Chris, pronouns she, her, and I am the other senior vice president. I will also be an incoming freshman at Northwestern University studying social policy and computer science. As you are going through your week, we encourage you to think about GirlCon as your stepping stone to whatever comes next, whether that be a newfound passion that you discover through a breakout session, a mentor who is now a part of your network, or friends and connections that will last a lifetime. We encourage you to do at least one thing outside of your comfort zone. You just might find that what lies beyond uncertainty and fear is boundless growth and discovery. Join us this week to become empowered by tech and connected to other passionate young leaders. Participate in your sessions. Thank the presenters and team joining. Post on social media to spread our message. And most importantly, stay safe and stay inspired. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for joining us this week. We can't wait to feel your energy and watch you #aim for the stars.
Hi, my name is Morgan and I am an incoming junior at St. Vincent Ferrer High School. This year, GirlCon has chosen to place an emphasis on goal setting, empowering ourselves, and persevering through our challenges in order to shine bright. To kick off GirlCon 2023, we encourage you to take part in our #Aim for the Stars challenge and share what your goals are for your future and what motivates you throughout this weekend. We can't wait for another amazing year at GirlCon.
Hi everyone, my name is Sumaya and I am a rising senior at Notre Dame High School based in California. As Sonia mentioned earlier, each year has been a huge milestone for GirlCon. From just 200 attendees around the Chicagoland area, our conference has grown to over 1,000 attendees from over 35 different countries. To us, these aren't just numbers, but rather a representation of the impact GirlCon is able to make on students across the globe. We are truly grateful to each and every one of you for signing up, taking time out of your summers, and spending it with us. At the same time, I want to give a huge thank you to our wonderful breakout and professional development leaders. This conference would truly have not been able to function without all of you, and as a past attendee at many of your sessions, you inspire each and every one of us to reach higher and make a difference in the world. We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us.
Thanks, Samaya. Hi everyone, my name is Danica, I use the pronoun she, her, and I'm an incoming senior at the Illinois Math and Science Academy. This year, we've had the unique opportunity to host a hybrid conference, with sessions happening both in person and online. In order to ensure this week is as inspiring and empowering as possible, we highly encouraged all participants to keep their videos on if they're comfortable during the online sessions. Please know that several of the sessions will be recorded while the presenter is speaking and posted as unlisted for only GirlCon registrants to view afterwards. Additionally, please use the chat features as much as possible to introduce your name, pronouns, where you're from, but also to react with emojis to content and ask as many questions as you can think of. Not to mention, engaging more this week gives you a greater chance at receiving the ultimate swag bags.
Hi everyone, my name is Dia and I will be a sophomore at Adelaide East Stevenson High School. We have so much cool swag this year, like t-shirts, sunglasses, bags, stickers, and more, but we only have 200 swag bags this year. So for a better chance of receiving a swag bag, make sure to participate in our social media challenges starting today. Check your email inbox or GirlCon's Instagram page for information on how to participate. Also make sure to post about your experience at this conference using our hashtag #AimForTheStars and tagging @GirlConTech on all platforms.
Hi everyone, my name is Mayda and I will be a senior at Adelaide East Stevenson High School. We are so glad you made it to this opening ceremony and got the calendar invite, as this is how you will join all of your sessions. The attendee-only page on our website contains all the Zoom links, allowing you to attend any session that interests you throughout the conference. All breakout sessions will happen on Zoom, and keynotes and large sessions like this one will be on Zoom webinars. If you have any questions throughout the conference, feel free to email us or DM us on our social media platforms. Thank you again for being here today.
Thanks, Meta. My name is Michelle, and I am an incoming freshman at Stanford University. I'd like to start by thanking all of the GirlCon 2023 sponsors for all of the support they have provided not only in the past, but especially this year. Now, here is a slide of all of our great sponsors. I am so grateful to have been a part of the GirlCon core team and work with these amazing companies. Thank you to Northwestern Sierra, GWC Injury Lawyers, Sticker Mule, D.E. Shaw & Co., AbbVie, Balsamic, McDonald's, and All Rise Legal Counsel. We truly appreciate all that you have done for us. I'd like to now extend a huge thank you to our gold and partner sponsors, Peak 6, Schneider Electric, CME Group, RSM, ISACA Chicago Chapter, and IMC. Additionally, thank you so much to our fiscal sponsor, Bits and Bytes Cybersecurity Education. This conference would not be possible without you. We truly can't wait to continue this partnership in the future. Now, here is a quick message from our 2023 Gold and Partner sponsors.
Hi everyone, and welcome to GirlCon. RSM is so honored to host and sponsor the GirlCon Chicago conference this year. RSM is the leading provider of audit, tax, and consulting services focused on the middle market. At RSM, culture, diversity, and inclusion is at the core of the services we provide. We foster an inclusive workplace and believe in the recruitment, advancement, and retention of underrepresented women and minorities. RSM incorporates diversity and inclusiveness to deliver innovative and effective solutions for the audit, tax, and consulting services we provide. Our people are empowered to make an impact, to own their career, and to achieve their personal and professional aspirations. We are so excited to further GirlCon's mission and empower the next generation of women leaders as you aim for the stars.
Thank you to all the participants in GirlCon board for putting on a successful event. It has been such a pleasure to connect with you all. We are so grateful to support your initiative and are confident that you will reach the stars.
Hey GirlCon, it's Alexa here from Peak 6. We are so excited to be supporting the GirlCon conference this year. Here at Peak 6, we are such firm believers that we need more women in finance, more women in tech, and in general, more women in spaces that have been traditionally dominated by men. And that's why we're so excited to bring Poker Power to you, because poker also is a game that has been played by many men and not nearly enough women. So we hope you have an awesome conference. We hope you get the poker bug and continue to play, and we can't wait to hear more about what you've learned.
Hi GirlCon, I'm Erin Leiden, president of Poker Power, and I wasn't always a poker player. My career began on Wall Street, back when pay was secret and pregnancy was hidden. And at that time, I was surrounded by a lot of men and a lot of poker. But I never took my seat because I believed then, and I still believe today, that there's a force field surrounding the poker table, and it keeps women from sitting down, playing, and competing. And we see that same force field in so many of the STEM industries. So why do we want to teach you poker this weekend? Because we know it's a game changer. When you take your seat at our table, we will teach you how to think, strategize, and take risk, like a winning poker player. And that will be the game changer for your career. So we've saved you a seat. Join us.
Hi, I'm Jim Ashby, Executive Director of the Cyber Academy at Cyberdome USA here in Southern Indiana. We hope that you all have a wonderful time at GirlCon 23. At Cyberdome USA, we provide end-to-end cybersecurity solutions for companies. We also do workforce development for a new, stronger cybersecurity workforce. We're really proud to be sponsors of this year's GirlCon 23. We hope that you have a wonderful event, meet some great new people. Please stop by our booth and see Hannah and Emily. We'd love to learn more about your future. We hope you had a great time at GirlCon 23. We at Cyberdome USA focus on the cybersecurity triad of processes, technology, and people, because an organization is only ever as strong as its weakest link. Our solutions are to provide security risk assessment, GRC assessment, professional services, architecture and solution implementation, and 24/7 security operations monitoring. Our Cyber Academy does boot camps for executives to talk about business risk, and rest of staff security awareness training, along with custom certificate programs and industry-specific training. In our operations out of Clarksville, Indiana, we serve both online, face-to-face, and hybrid models, globally training the new workforce.
Hi everyone. At Schneider, our purpose is to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources, bridging progress and sustainability. Like GirlCon, we believe that this transformation to make our world more electric, decarbonized, and sustainable is only possible if we give girls and women of the world their rightful place. I am super proud of working for a company that matches my values and that I can work with purpose. I have started as an engineer 8 years ago, and I have been in 4 different countries. Now I lead commercial strategy and I help sustainability to be at our core, because we believe sustainability is for all. Thank you.
My name is Ramona Aratiu and I am the president of the ISACA Chicago chapter. ISACA is focusing on education and knowledge sharing among individuals in IT audit, governance, risk compliance, security, and cybersecurity. Our Chicago chapter board is so excited to support this wonderful conference for the 3rd year in a row. We have several programs and initiatives supporting your generation. One of them that I believe is particularly relevant here, it is the Shilly Stack program under the One in Tech Foundation. The Shilly Stack program seeks to increase the representation of women in technology leadership roles and the tech workforce. Once again, welcome, and we hope you'll enjoy the GirlCon Digital 2020.
Next, to make sure you know everything about GirlCon 2023 Digital, join our Remind by texting GC 2023V to 81010 for updates throughout the day. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to our email, team@girlcon.org, and don't forget to have fun. We hope that this will be a fun learning and growing experience for everyone. With that being said, we are so excited to welcome GirlCon 2023's first keynote speaker. Vivian Wen was named one of the 6 teens in the nation, making the world a better place by Forbes magazine in 2022. As the founder of the Formula Project and the CEO of a social justice company, Dinosaur Apparel, she's a fervent activist for female empowerment in male-dominated fields, notably STEM and entrepreneurship. Since starting her business in 8th grade, Dinosaur Apparel intertwines art with civic action to uplift minority communities through intersectional activism. Her Girls Mentorship program strives to develop interpersonal, STEM, and career skills to provide the scaffolding undergirding girls' transition into confident female leaders. In her free time, Vivian conducts research on biometrics for wildlife conservation at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Vivian, we are so excited to have you here today with us. Welcome.
Before we begin our keynote, we would also like you guys to type in the chat in the comments what you're most excited for our GirlCon Digital Conference. We're really excited to see your answers. We also have a couple questions coming about the Remind code. The Remind code is GC2023V. With this, you'll be getting updates throughout the entire day, but will also be available on our email. All right. So it looks like there are a bit of technical difficulties on Vivian's end, but no worries. We have Kyla Guru with us today. She is the co-founder of GirlCon, how this all started, and really like why it's been going for 6 years, and also the CEO and founder of Bits and Bytes Cybersecurity, which is the fiscal sponsor of GirlCon. And without them, GirlCon throughout the past 6 years would truly not be possible. Kyla is going to be presenting for us for our keynote, and I will let her take it away.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me all right. I am super excited to be chatting with you all and come at you live at the 6th annual GirlCon. Thank you so much for everyone joining today. And when we're ready, let's go ahead and get started. I'm super excited to be able to share my story. I'm just going to click slideshow so you guys can see this in full screen. And if you can't see it in full screen or anything is happening, just give me a shout out. But this is going to be a very interactive session. I want this to be sort of your session of how you can find your voice and take the mic. And I'm just going to be sharing sort of my story and how I was able to take the steps to doing so. And I hope that this, sparks some inspiration or plants a seed for you in your life for taking the mic and joining the conversation. So here we go. As a little bit of an introduction, my name is Kyla Guru. I am a rising senior at Stanford University and one of the co-founders of GirlCon Conference. I co-founded GirlCon back in 2019, and since then has been such a journey and an adventure of exploring technology in different ways and means. So through the lens of product and technology and coding, I've worked at various institutions and companies, and then also got really passionate about public service and government. So I spent one summer working in government last summer, working at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency in DC. And this summer, I'm also working at Apple while helping run GirlCon and organize this conference. So I'd love to obviously connect with you all afterwards and answer any specific questions, but this is just sort of a short introduction of who I am and what I love, which also includes corgis and chocolate and milkshakes and all things sweet in the world. So happy to talk anything, including food blogging or tech or entrepreneurship for you all. So I'm going to show you a series of pictures now, and I just want you to think to yourself what exactly comes to mind and just hold it inside or type it in the chat. I see a bunch of you have been active this morning. So type out in the chat what you think of when you see these 4 pictures that I'm going to show you. This is the first one. All right, so really difficult pictures to see and watch, and I hope that it caused some reflection in you that maybe you dropped in the chat for everyone to see or just thought about and internally reflected on, because we're going to come back to that by the end of this presentation. But before that, my story, where did I begin and how did this all come together? So it was the summer before my freshman year of high school that I went to something called a Gen Cyber Camp. I don't know if any of you have been to a Gen Cyber Camp before, but a Gen Cyber is a free 1-week NSA-sponsored camp in cybersecurity. And I sort of just went because I was curious about cybersecurity. I didn't really know what it was, but I kept seeing on the news, oh, Marriott breach or Uber was hacked. And I kept on thinking to myself, what do these words even mean? What does it mean for a company to be breached or for my data to be hacked? Who are these hackers and why do they care so much about my credit card information or my personal information, my address, where I live, where I'm from? So to answer these questions, I went to this 1-week camp, and that's where it completely transformed my thinking and my life. I kept on seeing these headlines and I thought to myself, okay, what does this mean for us as a society that we're being ransomware attacked, that our voice is being threatened and our democracy is being threatened by election security issues? And so I thought to myself, okay, there must be some root cause for all of these issues and for all of this harm that was going on in the world. And what I found when I looked into it further was that attacks like the Sony hack and the WannaCry ransomware of 2017 or 2019 actually, were all boiled down to human error. They all boil down to one person on the end, the user end, clicking one spam link on one email or answering one phishing email with the password that compromised an entire system or an entire network infrastructure. And to me, that was crazy, right? We were an advanced society of individuals operating in the 21st century, living with n number of devices in our household, but still, it was just us on the user end clicking one link or thinking to ourselves, oh, this is someone I can trust. Let me give them my personal information. So I figured that the solution also lied in human solutions, if the root cause was a human error. So it thought to myself, well, how will the next generation, how will all of you on this call today build the next rocket to Mars if you end up clicking on a malicious link? How will you cure cancer using biotechnology when you're hit with ransomware? And all of these things were going through my mind, right? How will we live in this advanced digital society if we're bombarded by these risks and these weaknesses around us? So to combat that, I started a very grassroots initiative. This was sort of before my GirlCon days, but I started this grassroots initiative called Bits and Bytes Cybersecurity Education, which actually just started out as me going to classrooms one bike ride away from my house and thinking to myself, what can I do to make a difference? So I initially emailed the administrator at the school, and I emailed them saying, hi, my name is Kyla. I'm super excited about cyber. I really want to know what to do, blah, 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 blah. And they responded to me saying, whoa, 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 back down. 1 minute. Let's just reevaluate. What exactly do you want to do in our school? When are you going to come in? How is this going to work? And I thought to myself, okay, maybe I am taking it too fast. Maybe I'm saying that I went in saying, oh, can we change the curriculum in the school? Can we transform schools? Can we do this and this? Can we implement new programs across schools, across Illinois? And I thought to myself, maybe we need to start a little more grassroots and a little smaller on the smaller scale first. So the one yes that I got from the school was to create a 5-minute animated video that would help the students understand my top 5 tips in cybersecurity. So to do that, I just went on Powtoon during my Thanksgiving break. This was back in freshman year of high school. And I just searched how to use Powtoon, and I started animating things. I started animating little talking characters that would pop up on the screen and say, change your passwords when you think you've been breached, or here's how to make a strong password, and here's what not to do online that could lead to hackers getting your information, and explaining exactly why that matters. And what I realized was that this was gaining a lot of traction, right? Teachers were really interested in this content and wanted to know more. And that's when I knew that that was the one domino at the start that would help kick down a number of dominoes to follow. It was the one door that opened a series of hundreds of doors to follow that I would just keep leading down and saying yes and to. And that's the one thing I want you to also take away is that when you see an opportunity, say yes, but not only say yes and. Say, yes, I'll do this. Like this weekend at GirlCon, you said yes, but take that and say yes and. Yes, and I will connect with all these people and follow up with them in the connections months later. Yes, and I will take this passion and build a company out of it or build a nonprofit out of this mission. So what I saw was that there was a real need for this in the community, and that spiraled into a blog article and a website being built. And what you'll see down the road is we ended up becoming a nonprofit that is now working with students across the country and the world to provide cybersecurity education at scale for classrooms and professors and teachers everywhere. And what I realized through this experience was that, one, there aren't enough women in the space. So that's what caused the start of GirlCon. And two is that you can really do anything, regardless of who you are. I was, a freshman in high school at the time, knew barely anything about coding or the world. And I thought to myself, what can I do with the information that there is this big issue that humans are being affected by? And I thought to myself, okay, as long as I have the sacrifice, the determination, the ability to learn from my mistakes, I can do this project, and I can take it on as a small project that ended up becoming something much more than that. And you might be wondering how this even spiraled into GirlCon or how this created GirlCon. And I shared the story yesterday at our in-person conference, but I think it was really the moment when I realized that in general, in technology, this wasn't an issue just in cyber, that I was walking into these rooms of gray-haired men and thinking to myself, I'm the only one in here who is actually representing the future of this industry. And I'm talking to them about the changes we can make and what we can do to launch growth in the future, and why it's so important to recruit a diverse group of
individuals of my age. And I was thinking, if I'm not here, this group of people are talking about the future without the future in the room. And for me, that was really the turning point where I was like, okay, I am like the representation of Gen Z for this conversation and for this boardroom. So it wasn't only that, I was usually the only female in the room. And I realized that when I was in my CS classes, a lot of females were dropping computer science because they felt that their passions were not applicable with technology. And I thought to myself, but every field is applicable with technology, and every field can be augmented with the use of technology, right? If you think about fashion right now and the way that we have e-commerce and merchandising, and we had an amazing keynote speaker who talked just about that yesterday, about how we can use digital design platforms to design new types of clothing or do data analytics on websites and stores and platforms. And then we have things like agri-tech. We have agriculture and figuring out how exactly we can be eco-friendly and sustainable while building the next big thing. So I think every single field, we have all these sessions today on tech plus medicine, tech plus law, tech plus, we even have one new, tech plus poker, right? All these applications we're seeing augmented by the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning and blockchain and all these new technologies that are emerging today. So I really wanted more girls to be a part of that conversation, and not only college-aged women, because there were all these, conversations out there about Grace Hopper Conference and this and that and different conferences that were out there, but there was really nothing that tackled the high school population and involved them in the conversation, even before society expected them to recruit for these companies or know a whole bunch about these topics, right? I wanted this generation of people to feel prepared for these conversations precisely when they were at the age to enter the boardroom, which is, at this age, at the age that you're at right now, because we need to start having these conversations as young people. So what does this even mean? How do we lead with these values in mind? What values should you keep in mind when you're going through this weekend and leading? Well, I have a little module of things that I want you to learn and a bunch of letters that I want you to keep in mind. And the first is L. So the first step of solving any problem is just learning about the issue, right? When I learned that 95% of cyber attacks are due to human error, that was the learning phase, right? That was what sparked the first domino to hit and fall down and cause the next one to think, okay, what's the solution? So meet the right people, do informational interviews to get to know exactly what is the root of the problem. In school, actually, we learned that in order to learn the root of the problem, you need to interview at least 100 people to actually understand exactly what's happening. And I know that sounds infeasible, but think about all the 5-minute or smaller conversations you have with people in your life just to understand, what do you think about climate change, or what do you think about the extinction of this species? So all of these count, right? They give you a better picture of what is the problem at hand. Next is that realization phase, is that realization that you can do it, number one, and the realization that, okay, this is the problem that I'm solving right now. And it could be a micro problem. It could be something in your community that you've just seen, like maybe the crosswalk doesn't provide enough time for people to cross the road. Or maybe you feel that the education system needs more curriculum in mental health. So smaller things like that, or macro things, right? The idea of climate change or the idea of mental health on the national level. So think about what exactly is the problem that you're solving for, and what is that unmet need that you're going to solve. The third is action. I say that I'm an impatient optimist because I think that when I see a problem, there's this immediate want in me to solve it. And I feel like there's this need in the social entrepreneurship space for social entrepreneurs to always be living in beta. They always live in this phase of, okay, I'm going to try a solution and it's fine if it fails, right? Have the courage to be okay if your solution fails at first. I remember one of the first events I had for Bits and Bytes. I set it all up. We had a cameraman come. We had the slides ready. We had all of these worksheets ready for people, and we gave them all out to all the volunteers that were there. And guess how many people showed up to that event? 0 people. I remember being so sad walking out of that venue thinking to myself, what did I do? Why did people not come to this event? But then you realize that you have to live in beta. There's always something that you can be improving on as a founder. And that might be switching up the organization of your team, or switching up for that event especially. We had to market more and put ourselves out there, put our name out there so people truly understood why this was important. So think about where can you improve always, and take that action to start. Measure and multiply. This is the idea of scaling. In order for any program to be successful, you can't just have one day where you talk about it or 5 hours where you discuss it deeply with a group of people and then everyone forgets it when they leave the room. This should be something that scales and multiplies to communities and communities outside of your own. So start thinking about early on. I tell any early stage person who's thinking about a project, this is my advice. Think about what you want your project to look like 5 years down the line from the very first few months that you're thinking about the project. I know this is crazy and this might sound insane to you, but in general, in our lives, 5 years down the line, you guys are going to be in college. You guys are going to be thinking about your master's and what to do next. So you have to be thinking about, okay, when I'm in school, this is exactly how I'm going to manage the operations. That's exactly what we had to do for GirlCon, right? When I left high school, we had to figure out, okay, how do we actually run this thing and keep this movement alive? So think about those things really early on and what type of mentors, what type of funding, what type of structure do you need in your organization? And repeat. The best part and the most fun part is that you're always failing forward. You're failing fast, you're failing forward, you're going on to the next thing. And that's the coolest part of having your own project is that you are the author of this chapter. You are the person who's knocking over the dominoes. So you get to decide what exactly you do next and where your organization is headed. And this is just something I like to put up, and we can go through these next few slides really quickly because I want to also get to questions. But in general, there's a difference between leadership and management. In management, you're talking down to the people that you're managing. And it's this idea of this hierarchy that you have subordinates under you, that you're taking some sort of power out of your position. But when you're a leader, you're creating value. You're making sure that everyone in your organization is learning and they're growing and they're working on they're launching off of their strengths, but also having the chance to work on their weaknesses. And I mean, this is one thing that I hope that it bleeds through every organization, but it's definitely something that you learn as you go on, is that in order to be a leader, that is rooted in empathy, but management, that's rooted in power. So when you think about who you want to be as a leader, think about these types of qualities that you want to bring to the table, whether that be being proactive or setting the direction for your organization, or even if it's a project at school, right? You don't want to be a manager to your group. You want to be that leader that brings that value and creates that vision for everyone else.
Absolutely, Kyla. And before we move on, first of all, thank you for that amazing keynote.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Sure.
and I think we really learned a lot in the short time that we had, but we also wanted to welcome Vivian, who is here with us today. And she will, hi, Vivian.
I will stop sharing as well so Vivian can start.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for the delay. There was a bit of miscommunication, but I'm here now, and I'm so excited to give my presentation and get to know all of you guys.
Thank you so much, Kyla. And let's give it up for Vivian now. You have the floor.
I just want to make sure that everyone can see my slides. All right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Vivian Nguyen, and I'm so excited to be here. I am going to be giving a presentation called Passion Project 101, and I'm the founder of the Formula Project and the CEO of Dinosaur Apparel. So before we kind of get into everything, I kind of want to do a little icebreaker activity. So I want each of you here to do me a favor. Close your eyes and envision a universe where everything is possible. And picture yourself in your dream life, dream job. You're the best version of yourself. You're pursuing your rawest passions, and you're really the happiest that you've ever been. Keeping your eyes closed, I want you to feel that velvet electricity that is coursing through your veins. Feel that adrenaline rush. And now I want you to open your eyes. Let me let you in on a secret. What if I could tell you that in 10 minutes we can make that reality or that universe a reality? Today, we're going to talk about how to channel that energy that we just felt in that universe into a vision of vocation, a project called a passion project. Welcome to Passion Project 101. So, like I said in the beginning, I want to introduce myself again. My name is Vivian Nguyen, and I'm CEO of Dinosaur Apparel, which is a social justice clothing company that interweaves youth artistry and civic action in order to advocate for minority and marginalized communities through intersectional activism. I'm also the founder of the Formula Project, which is a 501c3 mentorship program that strives to provide the scaffolding to undergird the transition of girls into confident young leaders. So this is Dinosaur Apparel, and this is my organization called the Formula Project. A little bit more about me. I am an activist for female empowerment in male-dominated fields, most notably in STEM and entrepreneurship. And I was named one of the 6 teens in the nation, making the world a better place by Forbes magazine in 2022. I am a 2023 Coca-Cola Scholar, and I am also an incoming freshman at Stanford University. And to give a little bit more background on, I guess, my career interests, I am a high school research intern that conducts research on animal biometrics for koala wildlife conservation at the University or the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Okay, that was a lot of information, but I kind of want to break down what we're going to do today. So there are 4 parts of today's presentation. First, we're going to get started, then discuss the logistics of what a passion project is, and finally, I'm going to leave you off with some resources that you guys can pursue in order to launch these initiatives and really get them running off the bat. Okay, so let's get started. So, when thinking about starting your own passion project, the first thing that I would advise for young girls and other people interested in starting either a nonprofit, a company, or research or any sort of initiative where you're pursuing your passions, the first thing you should do is think about ideation and niche. So, when you're coming up with a passion project, you need to have an idea that can serve as basically a seed that you can plant. And this idea needs to be something that excites you, something that really gets you up in the morning. And with that idea, we can start brainstorming. So, here are the strategies that I would offer to anyone who's interested in starting their own passion project. First is going into introspection. Once you start self-reflecting, then we can identify a problem. And once we have a problem identified, we can brainstorm solutions and finally form a team that can help us turn this idea into fruition. So, the first step is introspection and problem identification. And I feel like this is the stuff that a lot of people kind of overlook and they just kind of start getting into the concrete logistics of the passion project without really taking the time to reflect on their own passions. So, when you're thinking about what you want to do for a passion project, it's important that you consider these questions. First, what is your career goal? Is this something that you want to pursue that aligns with your ultimate career or your occupation? Second, what social issues resonate with you? What topics really enervate you and get your blood pumping? Finally, something that's also important is you can think about any hobbies that you have, any family vignettes or anecdotes that your parents told you, stories that you grew up on. And something I want to emphasize is that you should really capitalize on your assets and what you bring to the table already. Next, what's important is to identify a problem. So think about what issues plague the community around you, or what problems do you see arising within your city? Something else to consider are socioeconomic and social determinants. And finally, I'm going to circle back and really emphasize that you should think about your personal background and who you are as a person. Because when you are connected to your passion project, both intrinsically and extrinsically, it really makes everything a lot easier and it helps keep that motivation going throughout your project because you see yourself within every facet of your passion project from ideation to the final stages of the results. So, Once you start with the introspection stage and identifying your problems, next we can brainstorm solutions. So, in order to really find out how you can prevent or alleviate or really target whatever problem that you are trying to solve, it's important that you immerse yourself in the field that you want to work in. So, experiment and iterate. The first idea that you have probably won't be the idea that actually sticks because it takes a lot of iterations and going back and revising the idea and being flexible until you really truly set on what you're going to do as a passion project. So it's important that you write down your potential ventures. Do so much research. Education is so important, and it's important that you are knowledgeable about the field that you want to work in. So you want to become an expert in order to really kind of target this in a reverse manner and kind of go back recursively to figure out how you can unravel this issue that you want to tackle. So acquiring that fundamental prowess and aptitude is so important. And once you find out what your solution is to your problem, it's important to think about a niche. There are so many passion projects out there, but you really want to make sure that it is tailored to you as a person. And it is something that not another person could really recreate fully in a sense because you want to be unique. So it's important that you can start by surfing the internet for pre-existing ventures. If you're starting a business, it's important to scope out the competition and see what you can do to basically differentiate yourself and make yourself stand out from the other creators or the other people in your same space. So think about what there is a lack of. Think about where there are underserved communities. And maybe there is a topic that is really important, but people are kind of not thinking about a certain demographic when targeting this issue. So if you are interested in starting a company, I would think about what fields are oversaturated and try to come up with idea that targets an audience that is unreached. Finally, once you figure out the logistics and the infrastructure of your organization, you can start by forming a team. It is so important. I really want to reiterate that you can't do you can't start a passion project by yourself, and that you truly need to have a support group and a team that you can rely on. These should be your co-founders and your officers, and it really makes everything so much more simplified and easier to become well versed in the passion project, the nonprofit, and the business space when you have other people you can collaborate with and work together to create and reach this overarching goal. So I kind of want to relate this more to my story to make it a little bit more digestible. So, what sparked my catalyst for starting my organizations here? So, the Formula Project and Dinosaur Apparel. When I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I thought about female entrepreneurship and how although women make up about 50% or half of the workforce, there are only 25% of female CEOs, while males dominate the field at 75%, according to the World Economic Forum. And what made this resonate with me even more was that the percentage of Fortune 500 CEOs when comparing male versus female was even more egregious. And female CEOs only make up 7%, while 93% of CEOs who are Fortune 500 are males. So I really recognize that gender as a social determinant could dictate and really predict success in the career field. And I wanted to be able to dismantle that through my organizations. And so relating that back to Dinosaur Apparel, which is the social justice company that I created, I want to really emphasize how you should really find out what assets you bring to the table and what hobbies and background that you have as a person and really capitalize on that. So personally, I have a predisposition in art, creativity, and fashion. And in high school, I took APR, and I also realized that I really love to do lots of arts and crafts. And so that inspired me to create a clothing brand that I could use to advocate for marginalized communities through partnering up with charities and foundations and creating these custom curated fashion lines and clothing lines that were designed specifically with designs that were tailored to specific causes, such as suicide prevention, Pride Month LGBTQ rights, and also BLM movement. So what we would do was we would basically partner up with local artists in the community and we would work with them to create these clothing lines and spotlight their youth artistry on our apparel. And then through that, we would partner up with organizations within the city, such as the Boys and Girls Club, and we would work with them to basically sell our apparel and then donate 50% back of the proceeds from that specific clothing line to that foundation. And what inspired me to start the Formula Project was the disparity in female POC leaders that I experienced within my own city. So I realized that while I was immersed in like within my own personal life, I saw people who were persons of color, and there were a lot of minorities and people of color around me. There wasn't a lot of representation in leadership. And I think that diversity and representation can have different meanings, especially when there is a lot of diversity, but there isn't a lot of diversity in the authority figures that we see around us. So I wanted to create a program that would pair high school underclassmen and middle schoolers with high school upperclassmen in order to create this mentorship program where it would provide girls with people who they could come to for advice and female figures that were POC and who looked like them in figures of authority. And so I started the Formula Project. And with that, we were able to host workshops in leadership skills, public speaking, and we also hosted a lot of volunteering events and STEM initiatives to really provide girls with these opportunities that weren't available to them in their underserved schools and areas in order to really provide them with the assets to have that scaffolding to become confident young women in the next generation of female leaders. So once you have this idea and a team and you know what you have to do and you have your plan, it's really helpful to come up with an overall mission statement. And so this is an empowering statement that encapsulates your overarching purpose and what you want to do with your initiative. Once you have your mission statement, this should serve as your scaffold or that basic foundation that is underlying your initiative. Next, we can think about funding, which is budgeting the necessary money and expenditures to launch. And this is usually a key obstacle that people face. And so I want to go in later on this presentation, provide you with some resources to pursue funding. Finally, once you have your team, it's important to start recruiting. As a leader and someone who is starting a passion project, it's important that you realize that who you are as a person. And I kind of want to touch on the previous presentation is that you want to be a leader. And to do this, you have to cultivate community participation. And to avoid falling into that rabbit hole of management and kind of bossing people around, it's important that who you are as a leader is someone that can work as a team player. So start by recruiting volunteers who will help you in order to mobilize a movement united by one pulsating heartbeat. And really, at the end of the day, that is the underlying foundation and the key core idea that should really serve to motivate you through your passion project. Okay, so now we can kind of dive into the logistics of starting a passion project. And this part of the presentation is going to be tailored towards starting a nonprofit. So if you are in high school and you want to start a 501c3 or a nonprofit, I want to talk about the logistics of becoming certified as a 501c3 and the pros and why you should consider this as something that is very integral to your nonprofit. So 501c3 status is a designation granted by the Internal Revenue Service in the United States to organizations that operate for charitable, educational, literary, and among other specific purposes. So a lot of people do not actually attain 501(c)(3) status, even though they run a nonprofit, and that is entirely okay. But I really want to advocate for why you should attain 501(c)(3) status because it really will help you further your goals as a nonprofit. So the first thing is tax exemption. So as a 501(c)(3) organization, you are exempt from paying federal income tax. And while that might not have a lot of meaning to you or carry a lot of weight, it carries a lot of importance when you are trying to attain fundraising and grants from other corporate institutions or sponsorships because it incentivizes companies to donate to you because they can actually receive tax deductions for their contributions, which is really helpful because it ends up being a win-win situation on both sides. So you get grant funding and seed money for your nonprofit or your passion project. And on the other hand, the other party gets to receive tax deductions. In addition, 501(c)(3) status gives you a lot of credibility, and you are able to access a lot of fundraisers and a wealth of grants and opportunities. It cultivates that ethos, if you guys remember that from AP Lang or Lit, and you get that amount of trust and reliability because they know you are an accredited official legal entity. Another thing I want to touch on is in my past experience, before I attained 501c 501c3 status, was that it was hard to partner up with some organizations or some restaurants or local businesses because before we were a 501c3 entity, they couldn't receive tax deductions. And so it just made the paperwork a lot more difficult. And it is really important to have that official legal status. And so to attain that legal status, there are a couple of avenues that you can go through. The most popular avenue is filing a form called 1023. And you can also file 1023-EZ, which some people think is a lot simpler. And what this is an employer identification number or EIN. You can prepare and submit a form 1023 or 1023-EZ, and this information is all available to you online with a simple Google search. And the form itself, all it really entails is informing your activities, your finances, and the governance of your organization and what you want to do as a nonprofit. So another detail that I want to talk about in terms of logistics is promotion. So the three main avenues or tributaries that I kind of think are the most important are a website, social media, and LinkedIn in terms of promoting your brand of your company or your nonprofit. So this is the website that I used for Dinosaur Apparel. You can see that it's very vibrant, and I worked in order to really establish a certain type of branding and like key idea with my organization. So for Dinosaur Apparel, because we create custom made tie-dye apparel, I really wanted our brand to reflect the vibrancy and the color and the initiative that I wanted to do through tie-dye and through youth artistry throughout our website. And I also really went down the avenue of social media and also talking about this through Instagram or even what I really like to enjoy is like for social media, it's really important to think not only about whether you're targeting LinkedIn or you're targeting Instagram, but something that is also really important is really engaging with the media and media outlets. So I had the incredible opportunity to collaborate with Forbes Women and Maymay Fox, who is a New York Times bestselling author. And she was able to spotlight my initiative on Forbes magazine. And then I also worked with the Good Morning Texas organization of Good Morning America. And I also worked before that with the other local media outlets within my city. So a couple different magazines, and also I worked with some other organizations who were also in high school and were creating these spaces to spotlight other youth change makers within their own magazines and their own literary publications. So I think that a lot of people ask me, like, how do you really get into, I guess, this space of like really spotlight your organization and getting your name out there in the media. And I think that it's important to take it one step at a time. So start reaching out to your local publications within your city. So think about if your city has some sort of like government or publication, like local magazines, and then from then on, work your way up. And something I kind of want to talk about is that this shouldn't be your main goal with whatever passion project you are curating or you are working towards. And I think that when you are really impacting your community and you're making a difference, all this will come naturally. And so I think that instead of focusing on recognition or like that promotion aspect, I think it's a lot more helpful and beneficial in the long run to focus on your core purpose and your initiative and the mission itself, because all of that will fall into place. And I promise you. Now I want to talk about the resources that I pursued to get really started with grants and seed funding. And I think a lot of these opportunities are not as well promoted as they should be. And I think that makes it very difficult to get started. And so that's why I want to talk about it today and really make this process so much more less intimidating. So, an alternative to filing that 1023 form in order to obtain 501c3 status is going through the avenue of fiscal incubation. So, unfortunately, Irvine Lights is an organization I worked with, and I believe they are not active anymore, but there are plenty of other organizations that offer fiscal incubation. And what this is it's a sponsorship, and it lets you, as a nonprofit called a fledgling nonprofit who doesn't have 501c3 status, you can work under a organization that has 501c3 status. And this is an established nonprofit that will help offer the administrative, financial, and legal support so that you can do anything that a 501c3 does, but you are technically filed underneath that fiscal incubator or that other company. And this is really helpful, especially if you're just in the beginning stages, because you can get financial oversight and legal compliance navigation. Because I know it is almost like a labyrinth to kind of work through by yourself and unravel. So this makes it immensely more simplified. Something else that I participated in was a development fellowship, specifically Riley's Way. Riley's Way is an organization that does something every year called a Call for Kindness Fellowship. And this is a 12-month leadership development institute that awards a startup grant of up to $3,000. So you go through a lengthy application process where you submit a couple essays that are all about your organization and what you want to do, your purpose. And then you also film a video, you submit that, and then if you make it to the following stages, then you can become a part of the Riley's Way Fellowship. And as a fellow, you run a social justice impact project that inspires kindness and strengthens your local community. And Riley's Way Call for Kindness is truly like a great opportunity for you to get out there. And I truly, really would encourage you to at least apply. And the mentorship that I've gotten throughout this program has been so helpful. And that is why I always try to go back and also participate in Riley's Ways mentorship opportunities. So I was able to not only get the initial $3,000 grant, but then file again for a continuation grant. And that's what's important about Riley's Way is that they really value sustainability in the long run. So they want you to create an organization that isn't temporary, but is something that is not for planned obsolescence. So it's something that you can really sustain in the future as a leader and a person. And they really teach you the skills that you need as a leader and a young change maker. But it's also important not only to, yes, go out and try to get these bigger scholarships and bigger fellowships, but also it's important and something to not overlook is the smaller grants, or the smaller grants. So the Hershey's grant is a $100, $250, and $500 grant that supports young people who want to start a passion project that is connected to advancing inclusion, empathy, and kindness within their own communities. So the Hershey's Heartwarming Project is an organization that will offer seed funding. And a lot of times you actually don't need thousands of dollars to start your nonprofit and especially get off that initial footing. So when I started Dinosaur Apparel, I wasn't involved in any fellowships or seed funding programs. I just started it with the money that I already had. And quite frankly, I didn't spend a lot. And everything that I spent with Dinosaur Apparel really came back to me, and I was able to reinvest the profits that I gained through Dinosaur Apparel throughout the organization and the company. So I really don't want monetary hindrances to serve as something that kind of inhibits you from starting an organization. And if that is, there are always opportunities for you to gain that support financially. Okay, so that concludes the presentation part of my talk today, but I want to open up to a Q&A session. And also, if you have any other questions or any advice that you want, you can always feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and my ad is VXVXNLY. And I'll be more than happy to assist you with getting started with your own passion project.
Thank you so much, Vivian, for that amazing keynote, and Kyla. With that said, for a couple minutes, we are actually going to be having a Q&A both with Vivian and with Kyla. Just because both of them gave really inspiring presentations. But this question is for both of you. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I don't know, Vivian, if you want to get started, but I can share something quickly. I think advice that I would give to my younger self is just to honestly just take every opportunity to try different things and like almost try everything. Like, you're young, you can take the most risks of your life at this stage in your life. So just take that on and try all sorts of different things. Try aerospace engineering and civil engineering. And just, even if you don't like something, you'll gain a very valuable experience of not only like the story to tell that, like, oh, back in the day, like, I did try that. And like, that was when they were building the Tesla car. Or like, you'll have a story to tell that will be something really cool to share years down the line. And then two, even not knowing that you want to do something is just as valuable as learning that you want to do something. So would definitely recommend like taking big risks right now.
Oh, Kyla, that is actually very similar to what I was going to say. And I think that it's really important. I think if I had advice for my younger self, it would probably be to, one, be a lot less harsh on myself. You're always going to be your toughest critic. And I think that when you're starting a passion project or any type of initiative, you are going to face a lot of obstacles. And I really wish this if I was able to talk to myself. I wish that I wouldn't let the small things kind of discourage me from the overarching goal of what I want to do. And something that I personally faced was that a lot of times I felt that a lot of people would kind of underestimate me or not really treat me seriously. And I think a lot of us can relate to this as women, and a lot of times we're in these spaces where we do not really see a lot of representation. And also the age thing, that's another thing. I think that I wish that if I was younger, I just would have just gotten started instead of trying to wait. Because I mean, you can start these initiatives no matter how old you are. And also, I really think that if I was able to talk to myself, I would just like just get started. You don't have to be 100% ready. And honestly, you might never be 100% ready. So, like Kyla said, just pursue these opportunities and see where they take you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I have another question for both of you. How do you both manage a work-life balance doing all the amazing things that you guys do?
Yeah, I'm happy to start as well, but I think one thing that I try and like share is that I honestly am gonna flip the script a bit. I don't think there is work-life balance. Like I feel like I'm still trying to master this and figure it out myself. And honestly, I feel like there are times in my life that will like I will balance towards or tilt towards one side of the scale, like, oh, I'm doing more of like life or personal things right now because that's what I need. Or I feel like it's a constant like scale where you're moving. It's more of a spectrum, honestly, than a scale. I feel that I move towards like, oh, right now I'm in my very academic era because I need to. Like it's almost like it's, week 9, like and it's before finals week, like that kind of person. And then I also have eras where like I'm more in my like, okay, focusing on this part of my life or this part of my life. So I honestly feel like balance is sort of a myth because at any point in your life you're kind of tilting towards more so to one side of the scale than the other, but that is in and of itself like how you manage. Like it's okay at this time in my life having the awareness that I am meant to be like focused more on this one thing, or like I feel my calling towards like focusing more on GirlCon right now and not other parts of my life. And that's just like my gut, that's what my gut is telling me, and I'm just going to listen to it and go for it. So that is at the surface level what I would say. And then also like make sure you have a support system. Like I would not be here today without my support system, like parents, friends, people that truly care for you and are willing to have that like intervention when they sense that something is like up and you need to focus on your health habits better. But yeah, that's what I'd say.
Right. And to answer that question, I think that what helps me maintain work-life balance or kind of try to navigate through that is I rely personally on a schedule and I have a planner and I just really like that is my go-to thing in the morning. I religiously make to-do lists. But going back on what Kyla said, I think that for me, in order to really maintain a balance between the two, is to prioritize my happiness. And when I say that, I mean like prioritizing your happiness in the current. A lot of times I think that I fell into the trap of thinking, oh, okay, I'll be happy when I achieve this next goal, or I'll be happy when I get this job or this internship. But if your happiness is anywhere else rather than where you are now, then how can you ever truly be happy in the present? And I think that is something a lot of us struggle with, especially when we are ambitious and we're goal-oriented people. But sometimes it's important to just take a step back and really relax and to find your happiness within yourself and to really take a break when you need to. And when you're working for long hours or you're studying for these exams, it's also important that you take these breaks and do these recreational activities to really recharge and really reimburse you with the energy to again go back in and target and tackle these problems head on.
Those are both wonderful responses. Thank you, Kyle and Vivian. A question we got in chat. Given your experiences and accomplishments, what are some areas or issues that you believe need more attention and support in terms of promoting female empowerment and equality?
Yeah, no, I honestly think there's so many different ways to go at this, and you can tackle it from the perspective of like, okay, a lot of corporations don't see female leadership, and why is that? Like tackling that from the root cause, and you go back and you keep asking why, like we were when we were kids, and you get to this problem of like, okay, there's a huge gap in retention of young women, even though they're interested in computer science in middle school, they don't follow it in high school and college. And then you go back to why is that? And then you say like, okay, that might be a culture issue. Maybe they don't feel enough, like welcome enough. And then you say, why is that? And so keep kind of going back to like an understanding what is the true root cause of these systemic issues that we're facing. And a lot of them you'll find like it's crazy to think about how, like, for example, in the US, we don't have paid maternity leave. And that's something that every developed country across the world has. And like the United States and I think Saudi Arabia or something they're the only countries that don't offer that. So to think about like, okay, there are these systemic causes that are causing these issues to happen, that's when you really start to talk like, okay, that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I'm going to lobby for. That's what I'm going to talk about. And there's a number of things you could talk about, like the systemic bias in AI and the way that when you search programmer in some interfaces and queries, you don't get a picture of a woman back. You get a picture of a man in a basement wearing a hoodie, right? And why is that? So keep asking why, I would say, and tackle the why that makes you feel as passionate as possible.
I want to answer this question a little bit differently. I think that, I guess I'm going to talk about like an area, not like a specific area, but I think that when we're talking about promoting female empowerment and equality, sometimes I think as well, I've seen this before. I think sometimes we can kind of oversimplify the issue, and instead of really targeting the underlying foundation of what we want to do with like empowering other young girls, I think sometimes female empowerment can have a stigma with it in that, like the word feminism, sometimes people do not, I guess, receive that in the best way possible, in the best light. And I think that people don't understand like how nuanced this issue is, and that female empowerment at itself should also be looked at from other angles. So I know we talk a lot today about how important it is that we get women in business and entrepreneurship and tech and these really mainstream fields. But also, I think that we need to focus on the unconventional occupations that females are not really represented in. So we can think about the service industry. So police officers, firefighters, other occupations that I think are just as impactful and that we don't really talk about. So that's how I would answer that question.
Awesome. And then we have one more question aimed specifically for Vivian. So this one is coming from the chat. As a young leader in the field of female empowerment, what advice would you give to aspiring activists and entrepreneurs who are passionate about creating positive change in their communities?
That's a really good question. I think that, like I said earlier, you really should be okay. Okay. I think my number one tip that I would give to someone who is thinking about starting a passion project is to take the initiative. And I feel like a lot of times we don't take the initiative because, like I said earlier, we don't think we are ready, or we don't think that others will take us seriously. And I think that when you're starting a passion project or any type of organization or initiative, I think that you as a person, you should be your number one advocate. So send these emails if you want to pursue research. Like, you have to really put yourself out there. And also, it's important that you really realize how important it is to network with others. And I don't like the word network because I think it has a negative connotation. But when I say like network, I think it's really important to make these relationships and leverage the opportunities to get to know other people, because you can learn so much from other aspiring change makers. And I think a lot of times people, instead of working together, they think of networking as something that's competitive. And I think that it shouldn't be that way. So if I were to give you advice, I would say that to one, just really put yourself out there and take the initiative and be your number one self advocate. Really put yourself out there and don't diminish yourself in any way or any light just because you don't think that you're worthy or that other people might not take you seriously, because you really have to be the one person that believes in yourself at the end of the day. And that will take you so far, I think, as an aspiring activist.
And if I can just add one sentence, I think the one thing people assume is that you need a lot of money to start a project, or you need to be an NGO, you need to be a nonprofit recognized by the IRS. But I actually think that you don't need very much to start a project grassroots. You just need one person to say yes and buy into your mission, and that one person will transform your life. And I think like you literally, like the way that Bits and Bytes started was like one bike ride away from my house, my old elementary school, and like no money. Like I just bought like a free account on Powtoon and went running with that. So I would say don't lean into the ideology that you need a certain amount of degrees or qualifications or specifications or money to start something, because really the way that project starts are in people's garages with $10 in their pocket and a mission. So
Awesome. Both of you guys had such amazing answers to all these questions. I think that we've been very inspired by both of you. And with that being said, we are so grateful that you are both able to come. It has been truly a blessing being able to see both of you, hear your stories, hear your missions, and empower the next generation of female leaders. So thank you both so much for being here, and we're so appreciative.
With that said,
Thank you for having us. It's an incredible opportunity.
Thank you so much. With that said, that is an end to our opening ceremony and first keynote. I'm going to briefly go over the schedule. So this is going to be a break till 1 p.m. Central Time. At 1 p.m. Central Time, our breakout sessions will start, and an email should have been sent to you with the master link of docs. If it wasn't sent to you, please email the team at GirlCon email, and we will be able to send that to you ASAP. We will have breakout sessions from 1 to 4 p.m. CST, and then rejoin for our closing ceremonies at 4:15 p.m. CST. So make sure to take a break, eat some lunch, or a meal wherever you are in the world. We are so grateful and so glad you all were able to make it to our opening ceremony. Just please email us if you have any questions. Me and I will be on our emails. Thank you guys so much, and have a great break. We hope to see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.